Aloha Manga Club, it's your boy Lohili signing in with the one and only ToasterCat, the man who gave me my very first big shout out here on YouTube. He took me from like maybe 25 subscribers. I think it was like less than that. Like you took me from 25 to like 50, which was a massive, massive boost, especially 2 years ago when I first started creating. That was something that was unheard of. I know I said thank you, but thank you, thank you, thank you as always. But how have you doing other than just chilling like a villain, my friend?
Honestly, man, I don't even know. Quarantine's rough. I think it's just finding things to do. I think I can agree. I think everyone feels the same way, but even if like you're working from home or still going to school, I feel like I'm not doing anything. I feel like I'm not productive, and that's another reason we talked about it earlier. Why I came back and I'm starting to make videos. Obviously, I love talking about manga, and that's the whole purpose of my channel is just to I talk about manga, and the comments that I want to see are people talking about what they've read or if they've read the same thing as me and giving their input. So the quarantine's been good for that. It's rejuvenated me, makes me want to make content again and talk about manga and have other people talk about manga. And that's how we met, and that's why we're here, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the whole reason. Like that was MangaTube 2 years ago was a completely different beast. I feel like
I
it.
want you to talk about that because that's something that I don't think about, but it's so true. Like 2 years ago, well, I honestly before if give some context, we were just talking about MangaTube in general and like the different creators, and you were showing me like a different aspect of people are actually making money now, and people are actually making this work. And 2 years ago, it's if you would have told me this, I would have said shut up. It's not true, and everything you've told me, and you Aloha Ali is super analytical and looks at the statistics and whatnot, and it's insane. It's insane how different it is. Grassroots to people are starting to make money.
Yeah, it's insane. Like we 2 years ago, it was you were one of the larger creators on MangaTube with simply having God, what was it? It was you
I had to hit 1,000.
you you hit 1,000 and that was like the big that was the big
That was a
time.
milestone, right?
Yeah, that was a massive milestone, and I just we were all really surprised. The biggest creator I think at the time was
It doesn't
oh
do videos anymore. What's his
he,
name? God, he's like a fucking legend in the manga community too, and we're not thinking of his name.
but you know exactly what I'm talking about. It was
Yeah,
he was just an absolute man when it came to creating videos, and he had maybe 13,000 subs.
yeah.
Like we were like that was the end all be all of MangaTube creation was that man right there, and there was no one that was really came close to that size, that style.
And like fast forward nowadays, like right now, I'm not saying I'm one of them. Obviously, I just barely came back, but there's multiple people in the community that are doing exactly what he did and at that level. Like they don't have that number of subs yet, but they're getting the views.
Yeah, they're getting an insane amount of views. They're getting an insane amount of like support, and it's been an amazing thing to see over the last couple of years just how much we've grown. Like now creators can get to a point where they have, a couple hundred subs in 2 to 3 months. And that used to
Yeah.
be it took you like a year to get to 2 to 300. Then last year it took you, 4 or 5 months to get close to 5 or 600. And
Now
now
you can do it in one video.
now you can do it in one video. Like manga tube is up and coming, and it makes me it makes me giggle, it makes me grin, it makes me feel good on the inside seeing how the community has grown. And I think that you helped laid the groundwork initially for everything that happened.
Laid the groundwork and then went to go get a pack of cigarettes at the store, right?
You went to you come back every now and then just to make sure that we're still alive.
No, I go to like live streams and stuff. I'm like, oh, like, hey, what up? But yeah, honestly, like, if I think about it, I left 5 months ago. School semester started, and then I don't know, man. It's just I think if I want to like justify myself or give myself a good reason to why I left, I think that honestly, my manga. It's so weird thinking about it. Like, I never think of this channel as like something that an accomplishment or anything. But if you think about it, it kind of is. But it always wanes with how invested I am at manga at the time, you know? Like
Mhm.
the more I'm into it, the more uploads I'm gonna have. The more I read it, the more likely I'm gonna make a video because hey, I just read something new, I binged it, I really, really love it. I'm gonna make a video talking about it.
Then that's how it should be, right? Like if you love it, why wouldn't you want to talk about it?
Yeah. So obviously, like you just don't like we've been talking more and more, but I'm probably gonna make a video today. Honestly, Lahali inspiration inspires me.
Glad to know that I'm inspiration to some and a fear of others. It's just a great life that I have. And honestly, like I made a joke about it the last couple times, but it's finally time for me to make my video about Death Note, my
Oh yeah,
hatred
yeah.
of Death
I saw
Note.
Twitter. I saw a Twitter post. I actually voted for the other one because I knew
Ah,
that one was gonna have the most votes. So
you.
I go for the other side.
Hey, you know what? The Breaker is an amazing manhwa. It's so good. The Breaker is so
Oh,
good.
okay. Gripe. Let's go. You brought up the Breaker, so we're gonna talk about it. No one knows the Breaker. One of the best mangas. One of the best martial arts series ever,
Hands down.
possibly hands down. If you really do think about it, if you like epic fantasy, it is the Name of the Wind, the King Killer Chronicles of manga in a sense, where the creator's just fucking gone. We love this thing. He knows we love it. We're giving it a bunch of support. But hey, I'm gonna dip out, do something else, and not give you guys fucking updates ever. You want to Google about it? You're gonna get a Reddit post from like 6 months ago talking about hey, it might come out within the next few months. It is fuck that shit. I hate it. I hate it. I hate how much I love it and how much I
The,
get. I'm like I'm in fucking love, you know. I'm puppy dog over this series, and he's just like a Chad that just slaps me every time I try to get near. You know, it's unrequited love. Is that what it's called?
I think so. And the thing that's the most bothersome about how the whole thing is going down is they were making another manhwa,
It's
and they,
false promises.
yeah,
They
they,
said once we're done with this, we will for sure work on it, and they finished it like last year, like a year ago, and we have no updates of working on it.
no, there's literally nothing. Like I sit here brokenhearted every single time that I think about it. I don't know if there's going to be anything that will ever cause them
It has to get,
to.
get anime. It has to get anime.
And I think the reason why I want to talk about it is I think we're getting close.
You think it might get an anime, or has it been announced?
I so
Crunchyroll Tower of God and God of High School, so maybe they'll pick up the Breaker.
so uh, I saw somewhere that the Breaker is getting an English translation.
As in, we're gonna
Like
get English release,
I
or
yes, there's going to
no
be.
way.
I don't know if it's going to be like a physical book or if it's going to be
Yeah,
only digital,
yeah.
but
That's free money though. If you think about it, why wouldn't you want to do that? The people already fucking scan them online. You know, get the rough edits. You have the rights. You literally just steal it.
yeah,
You know, and
and
put it up there because
it's
you have the rights.
it's absolutely amazing. Yeah, Trinity of Wonder was the one that they were working on.
I can never read it. I just knowing that that was stopping them from season 3 of Breaker, even though I it could be better than Breaker for all I know, I doubt it.
It's not.
But that would always stop me is just like knowing that this bastard, you know, got in the way of season 3 because season 2 of Breaker ends on such a high note. All of season 2, no spoilers, is like a lull of just kind of him getting his shit together, and then bam, chapter 1 around chapter 100 some crazy shit happens, which you have said in a tweet before was one of your favorite moments in like all of manga. And I think someone like someone was downplaying in the comments. I'm pretty sure I replied to it and was like, "You don't know what you're talking about if you don't think this is like one of the greatest moments of all
Uh,
of Breaker or all of manga."
Are you
That
talking
was
with
so
Elder Quan's
yeah,
moment? Oh,
yeah. I
dude,
think someone said it like it wasn't that important, or I don't know what they said exactly, but it was like, dude, you don't know what you're talking about.
it was Elder. It was two moments. So one was Elder Gion, and then the other was
Mm,
Elder Quan. Both of them had absolutely like shivers moments when it
yeah.
came to how they reacted to certain situations, and uh, just
That's a
the
good point about the Breaker too. Like, it's in season 2 at least. He wasn't the highlight of the season till the end, and other characters like took the fucking limelight and like went they ran with it.
because for me the like best of the best when it comes down to like the characters, it was just so well written. The action is so good. The art is so beautiful. Like I'm planning on making a video about this, and you already know. Like you've seen it, you know what I'm gonna talk about. But season 1, season 2, And then season 3, I don't know how they're gonna top season 2. Like that
And
ending.
supposedly, speculation. I had seen a post years ago that with each coming season, it like doubles in size. That like, oh, the
100
reason why
chapters.
they prolonged season 3 is because they knew that this one was going to be like a behemoth, so they wanted to take a break and then come back to it.
It
But you know,
they'll never come back. I like
I don't say it.
everyone's. Hey, I'm as much as I want it to, as much as I'm gonna sit here and fight for it. Um, I I doubt it's ever gonna come back, just
It
because
hasn't been that long in the
5
grand scheme of
years.
things. It hasn't been that. It hasn't been 5 years.
It has been since 2015 is
All
when the
right,
new waves ended.
all right. Maybe it has been a long fucking time.
It's been like everyone sits here and we joke about we talk about
Winter.
Hunter x Hunter. We talk about the simplicity that is waiting for a chapter of like Berserk. I'm like, no. You
I don't. I
don't
don't.
get
I don't
it.
wait on Berserk. Yeah.
I'm like, you
That's
don't get what the Breaker is about.
the the big. You know what? The big like. I feel like maybe my life, or like once you start following. I think manga. I think manga is like if you just want to get used to being let down, read manga
Yeah.
because
Oh
you're,
yeah.
you're gonna get introduced to like the greats, and you'll read some amazing works like Slam Dunk. You know, like okay, two prime examples. You love shonen. You read Yu Yu Hakusho. You're like, wow, that was fucking amazing. I want to read another one like it. Oh, he has another one. Who's this Tagashi guy? Hunter? Let's read this. Disappointed. You read Slam Dunk. You're like, holy hell, this art's amazing. This guy's amazing. He has another like samurai series. You read Vagabond. Disappointed. Those two guys just make like fucking masterpieces, and they just disappoint you because they're like, yeah, I'm just gonna stop. Vagabond for sure. He's done. Like, we're never gonna get an ending to that.
Yeah. No. Vagabond, as much as he says he's gonna give us one, um, but
We're done.
we're done. No, like
What about?
okay.
Are you caught up with Kingdom?
Yeah, 100%. I'm still waiting for the
Yeah,
break to
I
be over.
forgot. First of all, amazing, right?
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
Let me just say this. I don't no spoilers, but holy hell, if you're not reading Kingdom and it's quarantine, read Kingdom. That should be a video. Like you have so much time on your hands, you want to read what is it, close to 600 chapters now? Is it like 580?
No, it's
It's over?
635. Yeah, it's
It's
well
okay.
over.
I don't even look at the number anymore, right? It doesn't even matter. But you got 600 chapters there. Let's just say
Oh,
God, so much just happened in the last like 10 chapters. It's insane. He
641.
defeated he defeated someone, right? That
Oh,
I'm not gonna spoil anything because it's literally like fucking 400 chapter buildup. When was he introduced? Like, holy
I actually
hell.
know when he was introduced because I've been
When was he
rereading it. He was introduced at like chapter 145, 150.
Yeah, that was a pretty good ballpark number, 200.
Yeah, yeah, oh
But
yeah.
so he's been like a pinnacle villain for 400 chapters, and he's if you think about it, he is like the guardian to like the next level, right? Like he needed to surpass this man in order to truly like transcend to greatness or to like be on the level because now he's on the level with everyone, right? You have to
He's
say
he's. I don't
he's
think
on
he's on the level with everyone because he's still. We can't talk about this without spoiling it. I don't think he's quite on the level of where he needs to be at yet, but he's taken a half step closer. I think he saw
if
some
you want
growing to do.
okay, if you want him to be like supreme, like be okay, if you want him to be on the top and like everyone's like under him, yeah, he's not there yet. But I
Yeah,
think he's on the level to where he can fight. He can put up a fight. But
I
obviously now with Kingdom, how it's showing how it's going now, they're starting to differentiate in the sense that some people aren't just fighters, right? Like their strength doesn't come from fighting; it comes
no.
from strategy, it comes from something else, it comes from their brain, you know. Which in OG Kingdom, it wasn't like that much of a highlight. I guess it was just brute strength, like who is the strongest, and then Kingdom did this thing where it's like, hey, there's more strategy to it. Like
Well,
even if
not
you're not the strongest,
not necessarily. Oiki.
yeah.
Oiki. I can never say his name. I think that's how you say his name, right? I
I
think
don't know.
so.
I don't care.
But
Like pronounce it however you want, right?
the
Because everyone's gonna be wrong.
monstrous bird of Quinn,
Yeah, yeah.
um, the way that he was introduced, the way that like they showed him, he wasn't the most physically powerful. He was a mix between
It looks
he
like
was
it,
physically powerful, but they even admitted that like Mobu was stronger. They admitted that
Yeah.
they said that everyone that people were stronger, but he was smart, he was strong,
Mm.
like he was the total package for a great general, and every other general in like the warring states in China was absolutely terrified to go up against him.
He's
Renpa,
the rounder, right?
yeah, and Rempa. Remember
Oh,
the conversation that Rempa had when he said that the monstrous bird of kin is dead. And he's like, I cried, I wept tears. He was like,
yeah.
he was my worst enemy, but he was also one of my closest brothers.
It's so cool because like we see that with Shin in a sense where like all of the great people beside him are gonna become great in themselves, and eventually, I don't know if we'll get an epilogue or whatever when if Shin ever dies or like same thing. Say like they end the series how they okay. This would be in my head a perfect way to end the series was like they do all the things they need to do, then they give us like 10 chapters and of like epilogue, and like they just recycle what happened with like Shin dies, but in his stead a new generation is born, right?
The
Because
next
that's
great general
it's
generation
always
is
gonna happen.
born.
It's
Oh,
always
that
gonna
was so.
happen, right?
Dude, I'm the relationship that he like has with Kyoka, I think, is awesome. It's a good parallel between Oiki and I can't remember what her name was.
I don't I
Um,
don't even I don't even know all the names, honestly.
I'm
I need to
I'm
reread it.
I'm terrible with the names, but just the way that the entire like series itself is built is it's so great. But by the way, I found the tweet that we were um
All right, let's go. Let's get off
yeah,
Kingdom because we can't talk about it with any spoilers. And okay, before we get off of it though, the manga creator did say that he was shooting, or is it a guy? I don't know. He or she
the
was shooting
mangaka.
for 100 volumes, right?
That's
I've
gonna
heard that. Which hey, they're pretty close. They're more than halfway.
yeah, they should be at 60 plus
70.
volumes right now because 100 volumes is probably
About 8 chapters
1100.
per volume.
Yeah, so we'll be pretty close to yeah, somewhere around there, I think. Um, but dude, the I found the tweet that we were talking about with talking about on the breaker, and it was Irish Otaku, not meaning to call you out. He said there's a lot better panel in the breaker new waves, and I agree. I
I don't
agree.
agree.
The
Depends on how you agree. I guess the
so
semantics, man.
I think this is one of the most meaningful moments in the breaker. I don't know if it's one of the most. It's not the most stunningly beautiful in the breaker. Um,
Hand in hand with me though. Like, obviously, if you're going based on like art, if you would have said like best artwork in the panel,
yeah,
I could have gone on his side. But when you say like best panel overall, I there has to be meaning and context to that panel, in my opinion.
yeah. But for me, the scene where uh, Shiun just says, "How long are you going to keep being rude to the Gaju?" And I was like, "Oh,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
that was." I think that's those two scenes, and there's just like a few more that like kind of touch on it. But just when he slicks his hair back and he says, "How long are you going to keep being rude to me?" I was like, "Oh." He's stepping into his role, and like Elder Quan's acceptance of him was amazing.
Mm.
Like just the whole way that the breaker was designed is amazing. I can't like I have there's not good enough descriptors for me.
There's another thing, like how we were talking about earlier, is that manga is just like a disappointment. You know why manga is like a disappointment in a sense? Like it's so good, and there's a video coming out. I'm reading all of like Satoshi Kon's work that are in English,
Mm-hmm.
which I think I have most of them. I have like 4 series. I don't know if there's more, but whatever. I forget as I'm reading manga that these guys like the best. Obviously, not all manga writers. Like most shonen isn't written well, but once you get into seinen or like good, like people that are trying their best, like they're actually phenomenal writers,
Yeah,
and
they're
like they make you feel, and like manga is some great literature, and you get invested, and a lot of the times these mangakas, it's a tough business, man. Like they're burnt out, like they have to make weekly chapters or bi-weekly chapters or even monthly, and it's still hard. It's like with authors, you get all the time you need. Maybe you're on a contract, but usually, like if you're cranking out a book every year, you're chilling. You're like you're doing really good. If you can make one book every year, you're doing good. And now these mangakas, like the best of the best, you want a whole chapter in one week?
dude. Think about Oda. he's still creating One Piece chapters right now just because the Mad Lad can. He's like, oh, he's like, we're just not going to publish them to keep my people safe, but I'm going to keep writing. I was like, you don't have like the author for
Yeah.
Kingdom took a break. He's like, oh, I'm going to take a month-long break, and I was like, dude, Oda took one break once because they forced him to.
I think Oda, no offense to Oda, but I think the way he's going, I don't obviously I don't know the guy personally or anything, but I feel like he's never going to be able to stop creating because he's going to get a downtime. He's going to realize that like it's not like I think everyone looks at him like, "Oh, you're a machine." It's like I'm not a machine because I want to. I'm a machine because I have to. Like I
I
just think that's his person. That's his personality. Like this guy always has to create.
I think, and I fully agree. I think that with Oda, he will never slow down. Like he will create until he's the same in my mind. He hasn't created the same amount of series, but the cultural impact that he has in his like work,
Parallel.
it's unparalleled.
The you'd have to compare him to other genres. You'd have to compare him to Harry Potter
Yeah,
at this point.
I
You
he's
can't compare him to the manga realm. He's
no
surpassed that.
he and there's like to be honest
Harry
here,
Potter, One Piece.
yeah. I mean, he's a cultural phenomenon. He is the number three comic book artist, not manga, comic book artist in the world. Like,
Not sad because don't get me wrong, dude's rich, but I feel like he should be worth way more. I think I've looked up his net worth, and I think last time I checked, I think it was 40 million.
I think he's worth 233 million right now.
Okay, even then, honestly, dude, I feel like he should be closer to the bill.
But think about this: Batman and Superman have had dozens, if not hundreds, of creators behind each of their stories. They have had teams going on for 70 plus years, and Oda is just behind them in like total sales.
He should be worth more. But
He's
obviously, it comes down to like owning the merchandise and whatnot. That's where the money's at. The money's at the merch and like all the other stuff.
So.
But
What do you think Oda's gonna do once he retires?
he'll. That's not gonna happen because
Well,
he won't retire.
let me.
He'll finish One Piece, but he
What
won't retire. He'll
What do you
be doing
think?
other things.
Sorry, what do you think the next project for Oda is gonna be after One Piece?
I think if you look at One Piece, um, you can't predict what he's gonna do next because One Piece in itself is multifaceted and it lies in every genre. In the world that it's in, like it's super like you can't say it's a pirate manga because there's so much else. It's like Star Wars in a sense. It's like you're adding in aliens and like this guy can do anything. If he says he's gonna do like a cowboy manga, it's not gonna be a western. It's not gonna be generic. It's gonna be so strange that I don't know what he's gonna do. Hopefully, not hopefully, but maybe not do shonen. Do a shoujo. That'd be fucking weird, and I think he'd pull it off.
I think he'd have to step up his female design. So I'm sorry. He
Oh,
needs his weak Oda's weak point is his feminine design, not how he writes the women because they're all actually fairly well written. It's just his designs. Like I
they're
always
all
joke, it's
breasted, right?
X
The
with
the
two
yeah.
eights. Yeah, I'm like Oda, buddy. You are putting like my wife makes fun of it so often when we watch the anime. She's like, "Oh, here comes another one of Oda's creations." I'm like, God damn, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, honey. Dude,
But that's I don't know. That's
he
his style.
he's made a western before. He made a western one shot.
Which one was that one?
Um,
What was it called?
I can't remember the name of the one shots. He's done like 4 or 5 one shots where he just made them because he wanted to.
But this has to be before One Piece, or
It
is this like
was it was
in between?
before it was right
Yeah.
before One Piece, right before he did his Romance Dawn that took off. He did
Because
one
technically everything's a one shot until it gets picked up, right?
technically.
Romance Dawn is a one shot,
Yeah,
and then it's hey, this is good. Let's make more.
I mean,
I don't know. Okay, I don't know what's. I don't know if you've been obviously I know the I think you've been following it, but I don't even know the name of it, so I'm probably gonna get it wrong. Is it called Samurai 8? Is that Kishimoto's work?
yeah,
What happened there? I just know that it ended
it
and that
ended
people were like,
because it wasn't good. Like I read the
was
first
it?
few chapters and like literally nothing about me was intrigued by it. The art was not good. The
Well,
storyline
did he
was
not write it? Did he not draw it?
I think he had one of his assistants draw it. If I
See, that doesn't count then.
let me see. Let me
If you
look
have
this
your
up.
sister do anything or like if their names are on it, then I don't think that should really go against Kishimoto in a way. I think maybe he got not bullied or like talked into it. Maybe they put out a large number, like, hey, you can be making this much money, you know, and you won't even be doing a lot of work. Like, have some of your writers do it and your artists. But
Well,
I don't think that's a genuine creation by him.
Kishimoto was the author. Like he was the one writing
Okay.
the story. He was the one who, because I'm looking at how it was created.
And was the
Um,
story just bad? Was it just bad?
it wasn't anything special, but the artwork is what really killed me on it. And I'm not saying that his illustrator was a bad illustrator. Okubo, I think, is the name of the person. Akira
Okay.
Okubo. They weren't they weren't. It wasn't bad. There was just nothing special. You know, if you look
Yeah.
up images of it, everything was soft. That's not the perfect way to describe it, but everything was soft.
I get what you mean in a way. Like I can't even describe it, but from reading manga, I know what you're talking about in a way where I guess you could say like bland.
Yeah, like the characters blended into the world
Yeah.
instead of being showing it like, and this was just in the first few chapters because I stopped after chapter 3, like straight up.
We're
Um,
gonna keep talking about bad shonen, which is this is. I just want to interject and say, what happened with me? What's fucking fairy tale? What happened to that? Like, I
uh,
know you were kind of behind it at first, but are you still
Eden
behind it?
Zero.
Is it still decent?
From what I've heard, so I stopped reading it for a little while
Okay.
because what happened when I got the copyright strike against my channel, because that's genuinely what happened. That's why I stopped reviewing it.
Oh
Um,
yeah, you were doing it.
yeah, I was reviewing it. Honestly, from what I've heard, it is like there are 100 chapters in Eden Zero right now. Um,
God damn.
yeah,
Pinch me. I would have never thought years ago it would have made it to 100 chapters.
and it's from they said the last two arcs. It's 9 volumes. It's been going on longer than Samurai 8. That's because
Yeah, for sure.
Mashima knows how to craft a long running tale. Rave Master, Fairy Tale, Eden Zero. Like the only reason why he continued doing Fairy Tale, um, is because it was popular. Like he
Yeah.
basically had to keep doing it. Um, and the big reason why he did it in the first place is because he wanted to take a mental break from what Rave Master was. Because Rave Master was dark as
Yeah.
hell. Like it was for as happy as it was, there were some exceedingly dark moments like human creation,
I
like
can't I can't
death.
comment on this because I know that it's dark just from the things that I've heard and remembering small fragments, but I haven't actually reread it or rewatched it as like an adult, I guess.
It's there like one there's one scene in there where I'm not going to say which character. They find out that one of the characters stays in the past and sits there and starves himself to death to not affect and change the future.
Damn.
And like they just see his body, like his skeleton sitting there looking at them, like, and that's what they get to, and they realize that, and you're like, what
And
the?
they do it in like a shonen way, so that it's not like too dark. But then when you really think about it, you're like, wait,
It
this
it
is nuts.
it shows him breaking down in front of them, like in front of
Oh
his
damn.
body, and like crying. Like they realize that it's him, and they just start tears start pouring down. Like Rave Master is probably one of the most strange uh shonen I've gotten to read because it feels like it should be happy. It's designed to look happy. Um, it's
Well,
35 volumes long,
yeah.
but people like random people just die. Like there's not friendship doesn't save the day every single time. In fact, there's one sacrifice in there that's based on friendship and love, and the person sacrifices their life to create an even more powerful weapon to help defeat the evil that they're going up against.
That sounds like a fantasy book that I'm reading right now, where in order to create this Gilara brim or this dragon, essentially, um, you have to sacrifice someone like a human being in which that you actually love and care for. Because in order to create a being so powerful, you not only have to sacrifice their life, but you have to sacrifice a part of yourself.
Yeah,
And then it's like it's nuts. But what I love about any storytelling, you know, obviously manga, books, comics, everything. I love everything because of stories, right? But when I think about it, it's like I love thinking about in 10 years from now, what are going to be regarded as like masterpieces or hidden gems that no one really talked about. And I feel like Rave Master could be one of them. You
dude,
know,
it's
like obviously now it's getting more traction or whatnot. Like what's happening with Avatar since it got on Netflix. like more people are talking about Avatar: Last Airbender and saying like, "Wow, this is like a masterpiece. This is like greatness." And it's like, yeah, you didn't watch it back then, but yeah, everyone who watched it knew that Avatar was like amazing, like philosophical and like a kids show. But what the hell? And now that it's on Netflix, everyone's like, wait, this kids show is like so damn good. And I just love knowing that that could happen with like any series.
Yeah, it's yeah, dude. I can't even. All that I want is for Rave Master to get the respect that it deserves. That's it.
And that only comes with time.
That it's it ended 15 years ago, and I still have to gush about how like it was just fun. It was dark. It was heavy. And I think from everything that I read in Eden Zero, like from what I read up to, Eden Zero was even darker. They dealt with like sex slaves.
Yeah.
They dealt with time travel. They dealt with abuse. They like Eden Zero is a very very dark. Um, it's I can't even. It's just dark. It's dark and it's fantasy and it's great. And it sucks that I haven't dove back into it, so I might take the time here during while everyone's in quarantine a little bit
Yeah.
still to pick it back up and read it a little bit more.
I think in the past I've like disrespected Mashima in a sense, but again, you get new perspectives, especially with quarantine as of now. And then I think about it, like, yeah, I don't like fairy tale, but thinking about it, I can respect what it is, and I can see why people like it because, like how I talked to you earlier, the context of like what makes something good or what makes something great is usually like emotional or philosophical, materials handled, and fairy tale usually doesn't do any of that, but it does what it wants to do and it does it well. And like exactly how you're saying, like he didn't want to touch on darker subjects because he had just done that, and it's you have to respect it. You have to respect like his fucking track record. Did Rave Master just fairy tale? Now he's on to like another 100+ series. I may not like them, but if you're into that, like holy fuck, he's really good at that.
He's a monster. And then he did his Parasite Fairy Tale crossover.
Yeah, I saw that from your video. I didn't know that even existed.
Dude, I didn't know it existed until I started looking for like one shots to read, and I read it, and they because you've read Parasite, right?
Yeah, Parasite, and well, I read Parasite when Parasite the Maximum, the anime came out, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, holy hell, this is insane. I read it, and I was like, well, the art style is way different, but it's the ending. I think Parasite has one of the best endings.
It's because it ends on basically a definitive, non-definitive note. It's weird to say it's
Yeah.
both definitive and not definitive. You get an
Hmm.
answer to everything, but you don't. You
You
never
don't get
find.
that last answer that you don't really need because the story's over,
Yeah,
but you'd like to have.
you'd like. I said there. I wish that there were just some things that I wish they had done more of, but that doesn't mean they were bad at
It's
all.
so short too. It's one of the series that I own in my collection, and it's such an easy series to own because I think it's only like 8 volumes, right?
Yeah.
And it's like it's on my shelf. I have a shelf that's dedicated to like if I ever want if someone wants to get into manga and they like recommend like I lend out my shit. Like I don't have a lot of people that want to borrow manga because my friends don't read it. But when I do make new friends and they are interested, I'm just like I'm quick to like it's my library is your library, man. I just want to talk to you about it. That's why I love coming on this podcast, and I'm even like trying to slip in like, yo, let's do this more often because I like it's so hard to find someone that is so excited and about manga like you or like obviously like these other people on the platform on the manga tube, but if you think about it, we're so like little, like in a sense we're like to make like to find a manga enthusiast like me and like you, it's like one in every like 100,000, one in every like 50,000. And on that shelf it's like all the series that I would give to someone, or not give but like let them borrow if like, hey, I want to try out manga. I have like so many different like slices and parasites on there because it's so short and so good, and it's like boom, read this, it's like you're gonna like it.
It's and that's the beauty about being a manga collector, a manga enthusiast. Because I think
Yeah.
collectors a very I don't think it's the right word because with the way
Yeah.
that technology is changing, can you be a collector if you have a digital collection? I mean, if all your manga is digital, can we truly call that the same kind of collection that you and I have had?
I don't think so.
I think it's collection, but I don't think it's collection in the same sense. But what you do love is you love the manga. You love sharing the stories. You love sharing this world, this passion that you found. And so I think calling us manga enthusiasts, otaku enthusiasts, whatever you want to say, is better than saying a manga collector, because then we're suddenly putting ourselves into a bind. You know what happens if you only read them online? You don't buy them, you have a Viz subscription, all that you do is read. But you constantly read. Are you
Yeah.
not an enthusiast? Why are we setting ourselves? Do you think it's okay to set ourselves apart like that, saying, "Oh, I'm a collector"? Makes me
Yeah.
sound douchier.
I think enthusiast is the best word for, because either case, it just comes down to like how much you love it. And like another thing I've said before, it's time and like effort is such a crazy thing, but it sucks that it can only be like quantifiable in like a degree. You know, like, oh, you go to school for 4 years, you get your bachelor's, 6 years, whatever. But it sucks that we have all this knowledge about like manga. It'd be cool to be like, no, like I got my bachelor's in manga. You know, like I know so much. And it's so funny. And what I like, as you grow up, you change, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're staying the same, you're not living life right. You grow up, you get smarter or whatever, you become more comfortable. And years ago, I would never tell people I have a manga collection like manga, because I feel like the craft is not seen how I see it. Like it's seen as more of like, it's seen as worse than comics, because they think Japanese and they think like, oh, it's gonna be this, big tittied or like gaff or whatever. But as I grow older, I actually like, yeah, I like manga. Like it's there's some really really great stories, and like everything on my shelf is great. And if you don't respect manga, I will give you any manga in my on my collection. You'll read it and you'll be able to respect it. Like there's no way you can't respect it. Like it's a great story. It's a great narrative.
Dude, it's and there's so much of it out there.
Yeah.
Like the amount of
To
manga
be
that's
fair,
out there
why it
is
gets a lot of bad rep though is because there's a lot of bad of it there too. Like there's more bad manga than there's good manga. That's for sure.
dude,
Hands
there's
down.
so many bad manga, but like each of them has kind of like even and I made a video about this a couple weeks ago. There is trash. There's trash and there's garbage, and I think there's a lot of manga trash, but that doesn't mean that they're worthless. I can always find
Made for
usually
demographic.
something positive.
It's
Yeah,
made for a niche.
yeah.
Like they made it for this niche, and you have to respect that. Like I make this like, okay, another, not, it's not a guilty pleasure. I used to call it my guilty pleasure, but with the mindset that I have now, and this is like an argument I had with, not with Flip. Well, he didn't like it, and I left a comment on his video about it, but it was about Terraform Mars, and it was like you have to look at it in a different way. Like it doesn't do, it's not Vagabond, it's not Vinland Saga, it's not trying to be that. It's just trying to be fun in a weird way.
Oh, it's super weird. Terra from Mars is
And it's honestly like this series has been getting so much recognition. It's a great series. I love it myself too. Doro, it's the same shit. They do the same thing, but Doro is being praised because, but Doro does go down like this philosophical path, and but Terraform Mars really never does that because it's not trying to do that.
no. It's
You have to respect it in that way.
it has. I don't even
It
know
has the
this.
best fights. It has some of the best fights in like all manga. I'll
It's
say it
also
hands
it's
down.
also weird. Like they
Yeah,
have dead ass like people roaches, like
yeah.
roaches that
No,
just evolved on Mars over like what 5 years, less than 5 years, to be
no. I think
this.
it was like 400 or something
It was
because
something stupid.
they initially try to terraform, because that's the thing, the science behind it is never going to be reality,
Yeah,
but that world it's real,
dude, it
right?
was it was it was fucking weird.
That's like trying to fucking getting mad at One Piece because it's like there's no way fruits could give you powers. It's like, well, in this world they do, because it sucks because series that base their power system on something scientific get ragged on because they're like, that's not how science works. But it's a power system, a made up power system, and a made up world. So fuck you, it doesn't matter. I can do whatever
This
I want.
it doesn't matter at all. I'm trying to find a timeline for Terra from Mars. Like,
So, dude, some of the fights, oh, because I'm just a sucker for cyberpunk and eugenics and all that shit. And like when it's scary thinking about it, when people are gonna have like fucking titanium skeleton bodies and like, fucking hydro pumps, and it's just scary thinking about it. But in that series, it's insane because like, oh, I got the DNA of fucking ants, so I'm super strong. Not even, and this is what I love, they don't just go like regular ant, they go like a fucking one in a million magical bullet ant from the African desert, and it's like, what, this is a special ant, and they show like real science behind it, and then they're like, all right, well now it's in my body and I'm gonna kick some roach ass.
dude, it just makes it's been going on since like 2012, and it's
It
made
goes on hiatus. It goes on hiatus like a lot, and it's coming to a crawl, which is sad.
it's so sad, but it's so weird. Like, I can't even describe it.
It
Okay,
was pop. Remember, like I think when the anime came out, it became like super popular. Like it was in the top 10 like selling manga of like 1 year for sure.
yeah. It was just it was originally published in Miracle Jump and then Weekly Young Jump.
And now it's monthly, right? I think
Uh, I don't
if
even
that,
think it's yeah. I if even like
yeah, it's stuck. It's stagnated on the chapter like two something for a minute.
it's dude. If you haven't gotten to read this series, do yourself a favor and just watch it or read it because I think it did have an anime adaptation.
Yeah, it had a really good season and then like a really bad season. Like a different studio took over and like cut out the gore and was like, "What are you doing?"
That's not the point of this. That's
That those series are going to get popular, more popular. It's going to get Terraform Mars is going to go through a resurgence within this year or next year because of like the Baki and like all that other craze that's going on. Like it's the same thing. Like
dude.
Baki, the anime, and then what's the other one that's the on Netflix?
Kengan Ashura.
Yeah, I don't like the aesthetically. I don't like it. Like I don't like the CGI look of it, but people are loving it, and Terraform Mars is right down that alley.
With Kengan Ashura, I just I couldn't get behind the art. Like the art threw me off way too much.
I watched like the first episode and I was just like, honestly, like I guarantee the manga is like 10 times better simply because aesthetically, I don't.
But Baki was baller. Like the
Yeah,
animation behind Baki was
same. I watched it.
phenomenal.
I don't
Uh,
watch anime and I watch Baki.
dude, it was, and thankfully I know the background for Baki because it would have been a little confusing if you hadn't seen either the original season, because this is
Mm.
technically season one on Netflix was technically season two.
But it's technically even farther in the manga, right? Like
Yeah,
I've
it's
read, I've read. I don't want to say I've read all of it, but and it was a long time ago. I read Baki like fucking 6 years ago. But
there's
it's
like
so parts.
there's
It's really hard to get to.
Baki the Son of Ogre, Baki the Grappler, and Baki Do. I think there's like three separate series
Yeah,
that all
but
focus on a different thing.
each one starts like if it's the beginning of series. You know,
Yeah, they explain who
so weird.
Baki is and they drop you in, but then if you've read the other series, you appreciate each one a little bit more. They give you enough context so you don't have to read
Yeah,
them in order.
exactly.
But
Which
like
is hard.
I think the
It's crazy
craziest
that.
dude, they had a fight between a 100 a 15 million-year-old man, like
Yeah,
a mammal from 15 million years ago that was just happened to be a man who fought against dinosaurs.
who fought against that really strong like the samurai, right?
He and then he so they originally they introduced Pickle because that was his name was Pickle.
Yeah,
They introduced him and he used to fight T Rexes and he used to fight you know
to utter bad.
Triceratops. I was like okay, and then he got frozen, came back to life, and then he fought Baki, and he wouldn't actually fight Yujiro. He wouldn't fight his dad. He was like,
Mm,
no, he'll kill me right there. And then,
yeah,
yeah, he's fighting Masashi. Uh, he's fighting the greatest samurai of all time because they brought him back to life by cloning. And he just happened to keep the same personality, same memories, and he's just the same guy. I was like, okay, you could have just done time travel and I still would have accepted this. Like,
yeah. You'd accept anything because you
I,
just want to see the. That's the point. But that again with those series, that's the point. Like they can do whatever they fucking want with the plot as long as it gets us to the point to where they fight. Like it's like all this shit. Usually, plot and acts and everything are really important. Like this is the main fucking reason you read it. But in series like this, it's just the rail that gets you to where you want to the destination, which is the fight, because that's
yeah.
where it shines.
Yeah, I mean, that's the entire point behind the series itself. It's it it knows what it wants to do, it knows what it wants to accomplish, and it doesn't want to change your mind. It's not like
Yeah,
it's Monster trying to give you a philosophical,
yeah,
not Monster, it's not Pluto, it's not 20th Century Boys, it's not Solonin, it's not trying to spoon feed you a message. It's not trying to make you think. It's like enjoy this fight. Here we go. We got to this fight. You're like, how did we get here? And he just asks you, does it
does not.
really matter? And your
No,
answer is always no. No, it does not matter. We got here. That's all that I care about.
a series that did it bad, in my opinion. I have the first volume. I was gonna get it, but honestly, it's fucking. It's not worthy of being like in a spot. Like I know where everything's at that matters. Like I know where Berserk's at. I know where Urasawa works are. I know where every JoJo's has its own shelf now because holy hell, there's so much JoJo's. I officially caught up, by the way. I had so many like missing volumes, but now I have all of the English releases of JoJo. fucking, and it's one whole shelf. I know where everything's at, but there's this series was just I need to sell it or give it away. But I don't know if you heard of it, Coliseum.
I've heard of Gall. Is that the one with? I saw that actually on the shelves
I
last
like Bruce
weekend.
Lee, I think, and like
It's
a bunch of random people.
just it's like it had a president of the United States. It
Yeah.
had pop stars. It had Hulk Hogan.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
It was outrageous, and but series like that I would read online. Like this is another debate which I will have, which maybe we'll have, or maybe people will talk about it. Is reading manga illegally. I'm all for it if it's a because there's so many series like you said, trash series or garbage series that they don't deserve my money, I guess. That's I just want to be frank with it. Like everyone we live in a time where everything is free. You can get everything for free online. Any sort of media, you can pirate it, you can get it for free. So it comes down to the author or like the creator that they need to make something good enough to where someone will want to support it. Like a Patreon on YouTube. So I'm all down with you reading or watching manga or anime illegally because it's the good shit that's gonna make you want to buy it
I think
at
this
the end
is.
of the day.
I think this is probably one of the most controversial opinions we've ever had on the Manga Club.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's what because there's so much manga that I want to digest and read, but it's not worth the money. It's not worth it, dude. If I had all the money in the world, yeah, I'll support you, but honestly, Coliseum, I'll read it online. It's not worth it. Oh, and a lot of things too. Like, what if it doesn't have an English translation or an English version? Are you just not gonna consume it online because you're gonna wait for it to come out? How do
Absolutely.
support Kingdom? We read the scans. Hey,
Definitely.
but hey, guess what? Guess what? If Kingdom gets an English release, I'll buy it. If it
Dude,
gets a fucking deluxe edition, anything, I'll buy it. I'll be there. The fucking volumes can cost $100, but if it's worth, obviously, if it costs $100 fucking, it better be worth it, right? It better have 10 volumes in one or something. But I'll be there and I'll buy it. You know, I love fucking ping pong. I love Taiyo Matsumoto. This is pretty expensive. It came out. I bought it. You know, I support the creators, but if you're not letting me support you, then I'm gonna digest it legally. You know.
and that's perfectly cool. Like that's how it kind of should be.
Yeah. But I feel like we're in a place where sometimes people they want to go after like, oh, you, dude, you're not supporting it, you're not getting it. It's like a lot of the times we can't support manga. We have to read it legally because it doesn't have translations, and if it does, and if it does have an English release, guess what? It doesn't warrant me buying it on Kindle or in physical copy because it's not worth it. But I still kind of want to read it, you know. But a lot of times, guess what? I'll read like 2 chapters and be like, good thing I didn't buy this, and like I'll dip.
You'd be like, "Peace, I'm
Yeah.
gone."
Or if you're not in the financial state, manga is really expensive. It is because okay, it's not expensive if you buy series that are short, but you're gonna be like, I want to buy this, I want to buy that, I want to buy this. Each book's like $10, and it just accumulates, and you're like, wait, if I want to keep up with the series, I need to be spending $50 a month, and that adds up. It's like, what the hell is going on? And especially if you're going to be collecting shonen, which don't get me wrong, a lot of it isn't worth collecting, but if you're actually buying all of shonen, you're fucking insane. I used to do that when we separated manga enthusiasts from manga collectors a few years ago. I was a manga collector where I would buy everything because hey, it would get a lot of views, and not only that, I could talk about it and I'd be knowledgeable. But why do you want to be knowledgeable? Why do you want to be have a master's degree in like shit? That's what it was, you know? It's like, why do you want to be knowledgeable in shonen? It doesn't fucking matter. Like, read the good ones. But it's like, yo, dude, I'm really good at blowing bubblegum bubbles, you know? It's like, cool, doesn't fucking matter. So I stopped. So I wouldn't recommend it. Don't buy all of shonen. Buy the good ones. So if you buy One Piece, you know, a few other good ones.
I missed your controversial opinions. I'm gonna be honest here.
They're not even controversial. Those are honest. That's what everyone thinks, right? They just don't want to say it. I feel
Hey,
it.
I live in the trash. I am the trash collector.
Shonen, yeah, but you don't. Do you own it? Do you support them and buy them on your shelves?
If I can, there are certain ones that if I could find them, I would 100% support them because they're so trashy. Like Change 123. Have you ever read that one?
Yeah, I think that's a
Oh,
good.
it is the super trashy. Like the idea behind the series is the main character. falls in love with a girl who has three other personalities within her body, and every single time that one of her personalities changes, her body like style changes and her fighting style changes because she's a like super martial arts chick, and it's super trashy. Like it's so close to ecchi. Like it's like very very
But
close.
it's almost like a cult classic in a way where like you like it because it's so bad, or it's so. But there's some theories where like they're not bad enough to get to that point, so they're just bad. You know, there's some series where you can like them ironically and be like, wow, like okay, I just recently watched all of. I don't know if you've seen it. This is like a good question to ask someone. Have you watched Trapped in the Closet or have you listened to Trapped in the Closet by
By
R.
R.
Kelly?
Kelly, excuse me, I've watched the
Like
entire thing twice.
exactly. Those are the two different people. Some people only know the first part, but if you've seen all of it, it's so fucking bad that it's a masterpiece.
It's
That it
amazing.
transcends. Exactly. It's fucking amazing. It's bad because he was so serious about it, but it's a hip opera comedy masterpiece.
Well, it's a tragedy actually because the entire thing is you find out that
Oh yeah,
everyone dies of AIDS.
yeah.
I was like, wait, whoa, what? That's how this ends. I was like, not everyone
It
got
was
shot.
such it was a bad ending in a sense where like you're so invested at that point where you're like I want to see like it all resolve, and then it just kind of goes, we got AIDS, we got the package over. But maybe that's just how it should have ended.
Well, and that's the weird thing was everyone was literally cheating on everyone with somebody else who was connected to somebody else, and I was like, okay, first of all, R. Kelly.
It's probably like a super philosophical like grand meaning if you think about it. You can take away so much from that. Like, hey, if you keep living this lifestyle, it only leads to death. If you're doing something, if you're hurting your significant other, don't expect them not to hurt you back because they will. Like, do unto others as you would like to be done unto yourself.
I was like,
Essentially,
if you watch the entire thing of Trapped in the Closet, one of the guys is cheating on his wife with another guy who's actually cheating on that guy with another woman.
yeah.
I was like, first of all, I backed up. I was like, okay, first of all,
And there's a midget.
and there's a midget. The midget is probably the weird, like the fact that he like calls out that there's a midget. I was like, what?
But that's okay. That's some manga. Some manga can do that. That they're just like, what's going on? But it's so good. But yeah.
My balls is one of the weirdest manga I've ever
Oh
read.
my god, that's the kind of manga you read where you're 15, you're horny, and you don't want to read hentai.
You're like, I'm not gonna read hentai, but I'm gonna read this, and it's
Yeah,
basically hentai,
exactly.
but it's not.
But I'm not there. But I'm not a complete degenerate. It's high school, not high school. High School of the Dead could be close to there. But
Prison high school.
no, not no. The other one where like they're zombies. The
Oh,
guy, the
high school
creator.
DxD.
No, it was. I think it was actually just called High School of the Dead. High School
Yeah,
DxD was one I want to say as well. Though, that it's if you're reading my balls, you're watching High School DxD as well.
never watched High School DxD because I didn't watch anime originally. I just read manga,
I was 15 in high school, and I for sure watched the shit out of that until I was like, what am I doing with myself?
dude. So okay, but then you've read my balls.
Yeah, also when I was like 15.
Yeah. So then, change 1, 2, 3 is in the same vein as my balls
Yeah, but I wouldn't read
with
them now.
fight,
Oh,
like
okay, with the fight.
with
So
fighting.
it's essentially fuck. There's another series, Triage, one Triage X or something with like it's in the same vein kind of. I never read it, but I've seen volume covers. And there's another series, and I want to say it's kind of like that. Tango Tangi or something like that.
Oh,
Have you heard of that one?
Tango Tangi, or I know which
Yeah,
one you're talking about. It's oh, it's
where it's like martial arts, but it's like super etchy.
I think I actually have one of those on my shelves.
I think yeah, you probably do. I think I've seen it in one of your halls, maybe. Where it's like I can see you getting behind it, but
Uh,
it's
Tenjo
clearly like
Tenjo uh, Tangi. It is. Where is this at? Where is this thing at? Trying to find the description. It's. I can't even think of what the actual like American translation for the name is. Um,
probably something outrageous.
yeah, it was. It was. The plot begins with Nagi and his friend Bob going to their first day of high school at Toto Academy. They had intended to rule the school by beating up anybody that got in their way, as they had done
Pretty
at
good
their
premise.
previous schools. They soon learned that It is no ordinary high school, but rather a school that was founded to teach and integrate different fighting styles. Its students are skilled in the various arts of combat, with some students possessing supernatural abilities such as pyrokinesis, precognition, and superhuman strength, based on the abilities to use their spirit or ki in Japanese. After an altercation with the executive council, Soricho and Bob join the only surviving club that opposes them, the Jukin Club. As the storyline develops, both groups find they are becoming increasingly involved in a long enduring conflict that was left unresolved from the Japanese feudal era by some of the characters' ancestors. What?
That actually sounds pretty good though. Honestly,
Like
that'd be a good movie. Like
you
just fucking sit down and bullshit it.
but then I think it's what is it? It it's it's a seinen.
I don't think problem with series like that is I don't know. I feel like those kind of series they need to wrap up. Like and they end up going for super long to where it's I don't know, it doesn't warrant I feel like it doesn't warrant the time needed to invest into the series.
Dude,
And
okay, now I know why it's such a weird series because it was written by Oh Great.
oh, that guy, right?
That
Doesn't he do a
guy.
bunch of weird shit?
Air Gear.
Oh shit, he did Air Gear?
He did Air Gear.
I know that Oh Great did Air Gear, but I didn't think he. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes total sense.
Yep.
And I'm not gonna read that manga now because it'll probably just disappoint me.
You should absolutely not read it. It will
I
100%
forgot
disappoint you.
how bad Air Gear disappointed me.
Like Air Gear, like the very beginning of it was really
So
fun,
good.
creative. I like I if somebody were to ask me if I could recommend like one of the most disappointing manga of all time, Air
Air Gear.
Gear would probably be in the top 5,
We-
if
We've
not
had
the
this
top
talk
3.
because we feel the same exact way that it was so good when it was a sports series,
Even
and then
even
it
when it
got with the supernatural.
when it jumped the shark a little bit, like it wasn't that
Because
bad.
you have to when you jump the shark, you have to stay in the same realm. Like I get it, add a bit of like these guys are can do crazy shit. Like okay, one of the ending panels where he's literally like gliding on the paper airplanes, like that's fine. But when they actually started having powers and stuff and like fighting, fighting like fucking Super Saiyan battles, it's like all right, that was too much.
It was a strange series. Like one guy
Okay, I
rode
think
rollerbladed with his head on the rollerblade.
hey, that's fine. But I think it was what were they called? The regalia or something?
Yeah.
Especially when they got the ones that the skates that give you powers, it's like, all right. And like the plot itself got way too convoluted where it was
Like
like,
the
oh, like
I
they're like, oh, by the way, this whole time you were just playing into my plan. It was like, why? Why did there have to be a plan?
dude, I didn't mind the regalia because it was kind of fun. It was like, oh, it's a special part for the it's a special part for your air gear. Like it's a super powerful part, super rare. Like okay, I can get behind that.
Some
But
of them were too exaggerated.
yeah, but even then, I can get behind it a little bit. But once they started going, oh, I've actually been playing you all along to get my legs
Yeah.
back, and I was like, what?
And he was such a cool character too.
Yeah,
They ruined him.
Sora, I think
Yeah.
that was his name. So he's like, actually, I'm evil. I'm going to kill everybody, and I was just training you so I could steal your power eventually. I was like, okay, what?
And that other guy ends up being like a robot, right?
Something, it's
Something like
just
that.
weird. It goes down a rabbit hole really quick. But we are nearing the end of our hour with the manga
Too
club.
fast.
I know it always goes too fast with you now. We talked for like 45 minutes before we started.
Feel like we could have talked about a lot more.
We could have, but then we'd
Haven't.
be here for 6 hours. And it's not
Yeah.
time for one of those episodes yet. So, if you could recommend one manga to anybody from your shelf, and it can be anyone in the world, any genre, what manga would it be?
Honestly, I feel like I'm a bit biased right now since I just barely reread it, but I want to say I have it right here, so it's an easy answer. I'll say Ping Pong by Taiyo Matsumoto. The English release just came out. They're a bit expensive. Each one of these books is $30, but this is how you have to think about it. It's not a normal manga. It's oversized. The cover is actually really nice. If you want to complete the series of Ping Pong, have it all on your shelf, you only have to buy 2 of these. So if you spend $60 and he's a master, Taiyo Matsumoto is one of the greatest mangakas ever. Why I would recommend that this series is because the characters and the story itself is so generic and basic in a sense where the premise is nothing special, but it's the characters, their chemistry, them overcoming themselves and like growing. It's a coming of age story that is written and drawn perfectly, that anyone can get behind this story and anyone can feel what these characters are going through. It's just a great story, and that's the kind of manga I like to recommend. Things that are great narratives that I can tell you about it in 5 seconds, and then you go digest it. Easy to get into.
And I mean, Uchu Shelf said Zach from Uchu Shelf is of the same opinion that ping pong is absolutely amazing. So I might have to start reading that, even though I haven't done that
Anything,
yet.
anything by Taiyo Matsumoto. And what I like too about it is the art style is so strange and unique that you know when you're reading something by Taiyo Matsumoto that it's the avant garde of manga. You know, it's different, it's weird, and it makes you think.
Yes. And finally, for the final random question of the Manga Club, you know the routine on this one. What kind of coffee is your go-to
Right now, it
right
has to
now?
be just straight uh, vanilla iced coffee, and
Vanilla
it's not
ice.
even like no sugar, no sugar.
Interesting. Interesting.
I
I'm
I I fucked with, like the sugar for a bit, but then I started realizing I'm like drinking like candy, so I'm just like all
straight
I
up,
need is that kick. That kick. Put a little bit of the vanilla like extract in it, and just regular coffee, and let's go.
dude. I'm all about that. I'm all about that tea life. I'm a tea man myself,
Tea's pretty good. I like green tea.
dude. Tea, green tea, black tea, all tea. Like I love all tea, except bubble tea is a little weird because of the bubbles, but that's just me. So let everyone know where they can find you and what to kind of look forward to when it comes to, what you got to come down in the next few weeks.
Toaster Cat on YouTube. Next few weeks, honestly, just to expect a bunch of rambling videos talking about the manga that I'm currently reading. What video do I want to make right now? It's man, I don't know. Honestly, there's so much manga that I'm reading at the moment that are inspiring me that I kind of want to talk about all of it. So expect videos rambling about manga that I like. That's it.
Expect the unexpected, and I'm totally cool with that. Everything for Toaster Cat will be linked in the description down below. You guys know where to find me. You guys probably know that I have a few interesting videos coming out, like normal. For everyone new and old, welcome and welcome back. It's your boy Lohli, and I will see you next video.